So what I'd like to do, I'm going to briefly go over the levels of care in network care, and then we're going to do a demonstration on Sandy. We might run a little bit over. I'm just going to give you guys a heads up on that. In level 1, we talked about the beginning of care. There are 3 parts to all of these levels. In level 1, in Discover, your nervous system is discovering, it's like a mirror in there going, okay, where is there unbound tension? Where is there bound energy, unbound energy, bound energy? You don't need to read it. I'll talk it. Where do we need to unlock and unwind? Your nervous system is discovering a lot of this new strategy. The breath in early level 1 may only come up to right about mid-spine. The breath might rock right to the mid-spine, through the spine. And then in middle level 1, it comes up to the lower neck. But at the end of level 1, before we go deeper in level 2, that respiratory wave, that breath, rocks all the way up through the spine. So every spinal vertebrae has breath and connection. Real important. And there's a drop in tension in the body, which I'll talk through when we do Sandy and train Sandy. In level 2, it's transform energy. It's some of what we just talked about. We're going from defensive to transformational energy of understanding where this came from and starting to make some life changes, or at least feeling life changes are coming toward us. In early level 2, you'll see stretch in the gateways. I'll have you lift and stretch and lift and bring breath in there and really open up that emotional level as well in the connective tissue. In middle level 2, you might be on your side, you might be face down, you might be seated, but there starts to be this oscillation between the 2 vertebrae. So like if we're working phase 4, it might be that the oscillation is here. If we're working a phase 5, pulled in 2 different directions, the oscillation might be in here. And we start to get this unwinding that starts to occur in the spine, this rippling. In middle level 2, we're at the depth of where the original input, the trauma, the hurt feelings, the words that maybe were spoken that were not from the heart got embedded. And so we might feel some of that as well and connect to that as we're moving forth. But a lot of this defensive physiology is being worked with. That energy that's bound up, now we're moving it into the gateways. And the gateways, I used to say in Colorado, are like Pac-Man. Remember Pac-Man from the, 80s? And they just eat up that energy and transform it so that you can then have a perception shift. You can go, wow, is that how I want to do my life? I'll never forget Reagan was a woman in my practice, very tall, beautiful woman, rode horses a lot. And she, in middle level 2, she would go home for Christmas and just dread it. It was always a nightmare for her to be around her family, her siblings. It wasn't fun. And she came home right after having cleared some middle level 2 in her dominant pattern, and she came back from Christmas break and she said, I actually had fun. I had a great time. That kind of stuff. There are times when people go, you know what, I can't do this relationship anymore. And they already knew. It's just a matter of having it in their body. Or new friends, or things just start changing. It's beautiful. End of level 2, we might be on our back, and we're directing the energy up our spine into the gateways from a different momentum. The heart starts to open just a bit as we're clearing that pattern. Mind gets very quiet because we're starting to deal with the upper mind, which is our questioning source, God, creator, why am I here, purpose. And we're accessing those higher realms of mind. For those of you in level 2, I'm already hearing and making notes for the level 2 class, so you'll get more depth from there. Level 3 is awaken, and level 4 is integrate. I'm just going to touch very briefly on this. On level 3, we're actually in training, the heart is in training the nervous system. Anybody familiar with heart math? Yeah. Heart math, great. HeartMath talks about the heart being 40 to 60 times the electrical potential of the nervous system. That you can feel the resonance of the heart way out, feet in front of you. And so as that heart is entraining the nervous system, there's no longer tension through the mid-spine bounding up that area, then we start to get this ripple through the heart like we had through the spine. So the beauty of this as I watch people is that those of us have said for a long time, I live my life from my heart, I do what I love. You embody it. This is embodying it, which is beautiful. Integrate is the whole buffet of level 1, level 2, and level 3. And at some point, when you come in having had all these strategies in your phases, in your patterns, we might do a level 1 contact and a level 3 on your back and then a middle level 2. And so we get to choose based on what your body tells me where we go. Your body, it's not as linear. Let me say that. It's not as linear, although when I show you and demonstrate on Sandy, I'm going to do it linearly so you can see it, but it's not as linear as I'm explaining it. I just want you to get the information. Integration. All of this is about you reorganizing to a higher level within you. There's no cap to it. There are times, I will say, when I feel like, for me, my care, and I've heard this from other people under care, just kind of like, I don't feel like a whole lot's changing. And there's a plateau that happens as you're integrating. Because if you were to move into a new house, and 2 weeks later, not unpack, but move again, and move again, and move again. We got 2 people here who just moved, so you know what that's like. There's no integration. There's no depth. But we want depth. So there are times when there is a plateau in the process so you can integrate. And always check in with me, because it might feel like there's nothing happening, and I'm watching all this stuff happening from here, but you're not feeling it in here. And there's times of the reverse when you're feeling so much going on inside your body, and I'm out here going, not much is happening, right? So your body is telling me, is devising its own entrainment. I'm not coming in going, I'm the chiropractor, this is what needs to happen. You guys are handing me what needs to happen. So thank you. All right. So let's go ahead and take a pause for a moment. I'm going to pull the table out. So we might need to rearrange the chairs just for a little bit, and then we'll wrap up. All right. So this is Sandy. She's had care for years with a dear friend of mine, Rich, in New Hampshire. Awesome network chiropractor. And she's here in Sedona. So glad. So I'll start by palpating. I'm just going to feel and check in. Where is there tension? Where's their unbound tension? Where's their unbound energy? Where is their bound energy? I'm going to feel spine. I'm going to feel muscle. I check in emotionally with people. And then I come down to the heels, legs, and ankles. So her spinal cord runs through her spine. Her sciatic nerve extends down. It's the largest nerve in our body. And so I'm going to feel into her nervous system by checking her heel tension. And I can actually tell where in her spine it's getting caught. Like this is sacrum way down low. Her ankle, sacrum again. Good. And not much on the left side as far as heel tension, little bit of ankle tension. Her legs are level. So there's also looking at the level of bounce. Sometimes when people are phase 4, the mind, their legs will bounce out. And when they're phase 5, their legs don't open, which is what we're looking at right now. Okay. No, I usually don't talk this much when I'm training someone, and it's going to be a lot more intense for her because your eyes are on her. So I just want to be mindful of that. So I'm going to start with a level 1 contact. What I want you to notice is her breath, any movement you see, and directly into the gateways. So I'm palpating for rapport, much more on that side. We're going to open up the gateway. And make the contact. So my depth, how deep I go, has to do with her response. So her response at a certain depth was a really nice breath, and that's the depth I make the contact in. That has to do with emotions, mind, soul, what's the depth of the tissue. So we're just seeing her breath open up a bit. Now again, in early level 1, we'll just see the breath come here. Middle level 1, late level 1. The breath comes through all the spine. Now, she's had care before, so we're going to see more of the breath through the spine. Cool. All right. Good. So her heel tension in her sacrum already dropped down quite a bit. Ankle tension is still there. And leg tension's still there. So we're going to go into a 2A, early level 2 stretch. It's already going there. Good, and go ahead and lift a bit right there and feel the stretch. So keeping this really still right there, that's it. That's it. Good, stay with that. And lift your tailbone a bit. Good. Good. So she had 2 areas of unbound energy, usable energy, and I used that to drive the gateways a little bit more, and her breath increased with that. And she's just stretching and breathing into it and feeling into it. When you find you have connection, you can go ahead and relax on the table, but staying really focused, really still. Now in early level 2, you'll notice the contact's longer. So it's going deeper into the emotional field, the mind is quieting, the body's resetting. The connection in the brain into that gateway and the tailbone is starting to deepen. Good, and you're starting to see a little bit more rocking at both ends as well. Good, I'm just going to bring your head back into it a little bit more. Good, and we're watching for specific movement in the gateways. So if she was moving another area of her spine, I would have her stop moving that and be aware of that and go back into the gateway. We want really specific, clear connection in the gateways. That's what the brain's going to pick up in the nervous system and the body's going to respond to. And there are times when we do distract ourselves. Like right now, there might be a lot of emotional stuff that's attached to this pattern. And if she was moving her upper neck, it might mean that she's like, okay, I'm going to go out into the future so I don't feel this. Like there are times we do that. Good. All right, I'm going to go right into middle level 2 with you. In middle level 2, there's a little bit more oscillation. Good. Good. I'm going to have you bring your head back. Good. There you go. Now we're starting to get more respiratory wave to what we call a somatopsychic wave, where the breath is starting to actually change the body. The respiration is changing. There's a greater breath in there. And that's part of the reorganization that goes on. I'll talk more about that in the level 2 class so people have had the experience with it first. Good. Sandy, when you're ready, lay on this shoulder. Didn't turn around the other way. Just face me. Yeah, so they can see. Thanks. Okay. Okay. So middle level 2, I'm going to have you scoot toward me to the table a little bit more. You're on your side, and this unbound energy we're going to use to fuel the gateways. Now she's in the depth of whatever is driving this pattern. Good. So her body is stiff and straight. Gateway right there. Right there. Good. I'm just going to drive the energy up into the gateway. You can see the breath happening there. And down into the tailbone. Good. Good, we're going to bring the unbound energy into the gateway, fuel that a little bit more. Good. Gotcha. And down into the tailbone. Good. I'm going to have you just lay on your back and scoot off the headpiece, come down. So notice the energy in the room from when we started in level 1 to moving into middle and end of level 2. There's an expansion, there's a deepening, there's a quieting. Good, her breath starting to come up her spine. Contacting the gateway. And we're going to bring it down to tailbone. Good. And lower neck. Good. See the wave developing. Good. Good, using the unbound energy, she's starting to go into level 3, where you're wanting to just stretch the heart open like we stretch the gateways. for a moment. New levels of resourcefulness for healing. Physical healing, absolutely. Emotional healing, less triggers, less things that push our buttons, so to speak. A whole different sense of who we are and how we respond and react. Do we react? Do we respond in the world to ourselves? What's our minds asking? What are the questions we're asking? What is our soul calling us to step up into? What's the bigger picture? And yes, there is the pain part of it that goes away and may return and go away and may return as our bodies are helping us navigate. And we honor that. So as Sandy's processing here, I'd like to wrap up because I know we promised noon. There are people here that have not experienced network care. And some of you may even have people at home that they're like, yes, I know somebody who needs to get in for care. So I'm going to gift you an offer to start care in the practice. And that offer is stand over here. Our first visit is 90 minutes. It's the consultation and history, so we get the big picture of what's going on in your life. What do you want? What's your experience in your life? What have you experienced? The good, the bad, the in-between. What is it? What's going on? Spinal neural exam, the network part of it. And then outside of the network part of the exam, I do some muscle testing. Because when our spines are distorted and in subluxation mode, misalignment, there's a reason for that. And so what is it that's up for you right now that needs to be brought to the forefront or cleared out of the way? Maybe it's energetic, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's a lifestyle change, maybe it's something nutritional. So we look at what the priorities are on that first visit. And then we do our first network entrainment. For those of you who have questions, stick around. We can answer questions after for a little bit. And I know we promised noon, so for those of you who need to scoot, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.